We
Ooh.
might be live now. It says we're
It
setting
says
up.
live.
It says live, but then I see this message that says we're setting up. So we
we're live.
are live.
Oh, hold on. I gotta do my face.
And to your face. We are live. It's the Fantasy Joe's Drafter Party. Welcome to our third annual Drafter Party. It's 2020, and we are here reacting live to the 2020 NFL Draft.
It's 2020, just in case you're watching this in 2022 to see in the time capsule how the Joe's Drafter Party got so popular.
Hey, at least I got the date right, unlike the commissioner of the NFL who announced that good news, Las Vegas, we're moving the draft back. You were giving you a mulligan. It's going to come back in 2020. Did you guys?
Not only that, he said Dallas first. He said Dallas, and he's like, I mean, Las Vegas. And then he said, they're going to host the 20. I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Man. He's a lot of his games tonight, the commish. But
well, the rumors about this draft too was they were going to have that little like boat to bring them up on the through the Bellagio, like fountains. Like they're going to like paddle the first round draft picks up to the thing. I actually thought that would have been very fun.
Yeah.
Somebody was going in.
We'll find out in 2 years.
Yeah, so one of those non-early declares drinking too much in the crowd, falling into the water as a first round draft pick.
So welcome to the 2020 Drafter Party. We're the Fantasy Joes. We're excited to be with you tonight. And guys, what are your initial reactions? First of all, I'm very pumped that Tua went to Miami. I've got to say, I was worried that he might slip a little bit, and I'm glad that was a smokescreen. And I'm very excited for the Miami Dolphins. If you're a Dolphins fan, you've got to be pumped tonight, right? So I think that's great. I think that's a great spot for fantasy. A lot of wide receivers being taken in the first round, whether we like their landing spots or not. That's great news, right, for fantasy. So what are you guys thinking? What are your initial reactions? Got some offensive line help for Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley. That's good.
Tom Brady
gets protected.
Go Hawks. God bless Iowa.
Are you
that was
excited?
A nice pick, but I didn't love the Mansa.
I don't understand why
117 is a pretty solid. I mean, it's moving up one spot. I don't know. I
don't understand how San Francisco gets teams to do this.
John Lynch is a mastermind.
One spot.
Yeah.
Such a
what's
Bears
brilliant.
move.
What's brilliant is it's the pick that they got when they traded DeForest Buckner, right? And so essentially they replace him instead of having to re-sign him. I mean, it's just a very, very good NFL money, just a great business decision.
They're such a smart franchise. They really are. It was just brilliant. I mean, moving that pick and then what they did with it was just really.
Yeah, they got a fourth round pick. I think they gave up like pick 240 something and got a pick in the 1-teens. I mean, they moved up essentially, 130 picks to move back one. I mean, and probably get their guy all along because I don't know. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Here we go. Bikes.
Yeah. For those of you that are watching us live on YouTube, we are,
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. The Minnesota Vikings just drafted. They just drafted Justin Jefferson. So Will Greenwood live from the Twin Cities. What do you think? He's there as close as you can be to the draft room for the Vikings.
I wanted him to trade up for CeeDee Lamb. We were talking about this before it came on live. Trey thinks Justin Jefferson's underrated and could be good. I do think he fits well into what they want to do, but I don't know. I have a hard time really gauging Justin Jefferson, but I have a hard time gauging most wide receivers anyway. So I don't necessarily like the first round pick here in the depth of this class versus scooping up players a little bit later and using this either, we've lost basically all of our starting cornerbacks. And so, could we not have traded up to get more of an elite guy? Could we have moved the stage was Anthony Harris to then grab, move back in like the second round and get a wide receiver? So I'm fine with it. I'm just not overly stoked about Justin Jefferson, but you tell me why I'm wrong, boys.
Well, Trey, you've watched him more than you watch college football more closely than I do. He's one of my favorite wide receivers in the draft. I just think he's just a very solid guy. He does everything so well. Trey, what are your thoughts about Justin Jefferson? And also, do you think his landing spot will impact where he goes in rookie drafts? Because what is he? I'm lost count. A lot of wide receivers have gone. Is he the fifth one off the board? Is that right? fifth or sixth.
Yeah, he's fifth because Ruggs, Judy,
Sixth,
Lamb, Rager.
Yeah.
That's 5, right?
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
Ruggs, Judy, Lamb, Rager. He'd be the 5th. Yeah.
I just can't control myself because all these
fifth.
wide receivers in the first round, it's wild. Lost count already.
I set the over under at 4, Ryan, at our last recording.
Yeah, you did. So
lose some money.
So what do you think then, Trey, about Jefferson, and also does this landing spot impact where you think he goes? I mean, we got 5 guys in the first round for wide receivers. That's awesome. We got 3 quarterbacks in the top 6. Ooh, man, Superflex leagues are going to be fun, huh?
Yeah, I think this, the fantastic thing for me is that the guys that, I think are going to be incredible values are these last 2 guys taken, Jalen Reagor. And I said this before we officially hit record, I feel like that the one that could be in the best position for production immediately is Jalen Reagor. I mean, I think he probably takes over there as the number 1 wide receiver pretty quickly, playing for what I believe to be a pretty incredible front office and franchise in Philadelphia with one of the more underrated quarterbacks. If Carson Wentz can stay healthy, Jalen Reagor is Carson Wentz's number 1 weapon on offense, number 1 option in the passing game. I mean, that could lead to some huge, and he's the 4th guy off the board. I mean, he's inevitably going behind Judy and Lamb and likely Ruggs. You throw in the quarterbacks, and I mean, you could get Jalen Reagor at 112, and he could have an AJ Brown type rookie season. I mean, he's going to likely play in the slot, I believe, and I mean, I think he's just going to get targets. I mean, who's going to take targets away from him in that offense? I mean, Ertz and Goddard. But I mean, man, I think some incredible opportunity there. And I like the Jefferson pick. I think, he's good size. He has good speed. He's a great all around. Oh, wow. There's a trade here. Oh, nice. Okay. Chargers moved up. The Patriots moved back. That's a shocker. It's like me trading back in the draft.
As soon as the Patriots call you decline that phone call when it comes to trading.
That's right. But Jefferson, I think he fits really well with what Adam Thielen does. I think, he's going to make a lot of sense. I think that, that offense there has kind of been built to, run the ball and have some play action. And I really like what Jefferson does. I think he's not flashy, and he's not going to necessarily be the same kind of burner that like a Henry Ruggs is going to be. But I really like what he did there at LSU and very well rounded. I think, he's a very, very talented wide receiver. And so he and Reagor are going to end up inevitably probably being in the back, 3 or 4 picks of first round drafts in super flex leagues. So that's great value.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you've got those late first, early seconds, because I do think Superflex leagues, we're going to see, obviously the QBs go pretty early. We're going to see running backs because there's going to be a lot of day 2 running backs, I think. Maybe someone sneaks into day 1. I doubt it. So yeah, you're talking about tremendous value for some of these wide receivers for sure. So Will, what would get you excited about Justin Jefferson? I mean, where do you think, what kind of year do you think he has early? Do you think he's going to have kind of a quiet year 1, or do you think he slides right in there and does something in that Vikings offense?
It's good. I think it's going to be, I mean, I don't think he's going to have a massive year 1. They're just not a great passing team as far as numbers go. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire the way, I mean, I could see the way you mentioned like Jalen Reagor and AJ Brown. I don't really see like that Justin Jefferson has that AJ Brown ceiling, and that's super high. I get that. But I think it's fine. I don't know. I'm trying to convince myself that this was a really good pick for the Vikes. Just with this, maybe, take something else here and you get like Laviska and Shenault later would be more fun for me.
Let's reset, guys. Let's talk about all the.
Let's go back to the top of the draft too.
Top of the draft. Okay. As we're watching New Orleans, they're on the clock. Pick number 24. Kenneth Murray just went off the board as we're watching. So Joe Burrow, no surprise, number 1 pick. Is he, even though he's probably not our consensus number 1 in Superflex drafts, is he the consensus number 1? Do you think? I think that's pretty obvious. He's going to get number 1.
I think it's a pretty safe pick. I mean, He's going to have a great shot. I like him. I'm still flip-flopping Trey and Ryan between Burrow and Tua. I know that Tua has the better early production. Maybe I'm overthinking it and a little bit too worried, but I'm also a big fan of Burrow's game.
They're both not only were they both amazing college quarterbacks, but they're also both very likable people. And I think that does come into play when we're drafting guys for our dynasty teams. At least it comes into play for me. Like guys like Juju, for example, just guys that are fun on social media. I like Joe Burrow's story is great. Tua's story is great. So I think that helps elevate those guys. And just the fact it's a Superflex league, they're quarterbacks. I cannot really fault anyone for taking them 1 and 2. There's certainly some risk there, but I think they're going to be the guys that go off the top of the board in Superflex leagues. So.
Where does Herbert slide in for you now?
Man, that's a great question. I kind of want to see where the running backs end up. But he's one of those guys that maybe could be a sneaky value because I think he might slide. Although it's not like Daniel Jones. I mean, people aren't ripping him like they did Daniel Jones. So probably not as much as I think. I don't know. Is he like a middle to late first round pick in the Superflex league?
I bet he's 108 is his floor in a Superflex league is my guess.
Trey, what are you doing with the quarterbacks here, man? I know you're a big you like Burrow a lot, but you're a big Tua fan too. So, and I know one of the things, if I can share this, you were kind of hoping that Tua slipped, I think, going into tonight because you were thinking maybe he'd be a value, people might avoid him, but that didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think there's that's kind of like a catch-22 also because, these NFL franchises take these decisions very seriously, right? This is a I heard someone say on a podcast the other day, these are 8-figure decisions these guys are making, right? With these top 10 picks. So if you see them slide to 12 or 15, I think it's definitely gives you a little more pause in spending a top pick on him in a rookie draft or a high pick on him in a startup, because that means that there were quite a few NFL franchises that didn't feel comfortable investing a top 10 pick in him, despite a significant need at franchise quarterback. And I think we all know that Tua is easily as talented, if not more talented, at quarterback than any other quarterback in this draft. It's purely health concern.
Oh, yeah.
So I did say that, and there was a part of me that meant it because I thought maybe if I can get Tua at 4, 5, or 6 in Superflex rookie drafts, that's like stealing because in 24 months he could be, I feel like, a top 10 dynasty quarterback if he stays healthy, and that could be a big if. So in some respects, having him go 5 to Miami, I think signifies to me that they're pretty convinced that his health is not going to be a significant concern, or at least they're willing to take that chance on him. So you're right. I think it does probably solidify his value as a top 2 pick. What's crazy to me is what in my mind seems to be this chasm in value between the pick at 5 and then the very next pick in the actual draft of Justin Herbert. I think that the gap in talent between Tua and Justin Herbert is immense. And so it would probably be hard for me if I had a team that needed quarterback. It would probably be hard for me to take Tua over Joe Burrow. And here's why, because I think if you take Joe Burrow, I think Joe Burrow is almost a lock to start year 1.
Yeah.
With the weapons they have there in Cincinnati, I think he's going to produce. And I think 12 months from now, the gap in value between Burrow and Tua is going to be greater than it is now. So I think from a value perspective, you kind of have to take Burrow over Tua now. And I don't love doing that. I love taking my guy, but when there's a very good possibility that Ryan Fitzpatrick starts the majority of this next upcoming season for Miami, Tua is going to just kind of sit and simmer. I don't know that I could viably in a draft take Tua over Burrow. I like him, and I think I'd rather have him long term. But I also don't think that it's not a slam dunk. I mean, Burrow is being put in a pretty good spot there in Cincinnati, and he's got some weapons. And I like, Zach Taylor's a guy, man. Ryan Tannehill had an incredible production under Zach Taylor's tutelage when Zach Taylor was either quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator in Miami. It was when Ryan Tannehill had like 4,000 yards passing in a season, and his best statistical season ever, Ryan Tannehill, was under Zach Taylor's tutelage. So Taylor knows how to get the most out of young quarterbacks. And I think that, they're both great options. I do think they'll end up being probably 1 and 2 in many super flex rookie drafts. So
super flex seed rookie drafts. Yeah,
that's right.
I do more super chia drafts, so it's fine.
Can I just say how badly I want this?
We had like a quick, it wasn't even like quick back and forth, but I don't mind the Herbert selection at number 6 by the Chargers at all. If they have belief in him and they studied him, he has at least a skill set that could be all right. And with the rest of that team and how they're built, if they can now have a cheap rookie quarterback who isn't, like could be a better than Derek Carr type of quarterback. And I think that kind of guy can at least lead them to a good playoff run and do better potentially in the playoffs than what Phillip Rivers did in the past few times. So I feel like that's a team built for success, and that pick makes sense in that kind of ideal world where now you have the cheap quarterback, you can invest in other places. So not a huge Herbert fan, but just don't mind the pick.
Yeah, I just think I kind of feel like, in my opinion, if they really feel like they're built to win now, I feel like they would have been better off to sign Cam Newton or Jameis Winston, to be completely honest. Because I feel like Justin Herbert probably is the kind of guy that needs to sit for a year. And, you're right. I mean, they've got Mike Williams, they've got Hunter Henry, they've got Keenan Allen, they've got Austin Eckler.
They picked up Chris Harris Jr. on defense. Like,
they're kind of in a position to win now. And I feel like when you draft a rookie quarterback with a top 10 pick, you're really aiming more to win in like 2 to 4 years. There's not many instances that a rookie quarterback comes in and is immediately competing for a Super Bowl. And so I just kind of, that's where for me, I felt like, we got a guy like Cam Newton out there, or even Tyrod Taylor. They've said, been pretty straightforward. They feel pretty comfortable with him. We'll see. It's my biggest complaint with Herbert is not the ability, it's the consistency. I think that he's just shown some incredible performances, and then there's some performances that you're just kind of like, man, they're a little bit head scratching.
Yeah,
and
just
so I think the consistency to me is, but as we know, quarterbacks always get pushed up, and it's going to be very interesting to see how he's valued. I think it'll be all over the place. I promise you, with the talent at running back and wide receiver this year, there's going to be super flex drafts that Herbert falls to like 112, maybe even the early second. I'm not saying I expect it, but it wouldn't surprise me, because once you take the top 2 quarterbacks and the big running backs and 5 first-round wide receivers, that's 11 guys. And there's a good possibility that all 11 of those guys go before Herbert.
Yeah, and one of the great things that we love about Superflex leagues is that they vary. There's some Superflex leagues where QBs don't go as soon as others. I think we've seen that in various leagues that we're in, where one league you'll have quarterbacks go real early, like in some leagues they may be the top 3 picks, but in other leagues they may slide down the board. So that's what's so exciting though about the Superflex league and these rookie drafts that we're going to have, because man, even if you have a late first round pick, you're going to get someone you're going to be excited about on your dynasty team. So I think there are red flags with Herbert. I think the Chargers had to do that. But there are some things that, like his decision making, he makes poor decisions sometimes. That's one of those big red flags for me. The fact that he's so damn tall, and no tall quarterbacks have ever been successful in the NFL. So anyway, let's talk about these wide receivers, guys, because if you look at the wide receivers that have gone off the board so far, and we're on pick 25, the Minnesota Vikings. But as of this time, as we're talking, you got Ruggs that went to the Raiders at 12. You got Jerry Jeudy that went to the Broncos at 15. CeeDee Lamb to the Dallas Cowboys at 17. Crazy. Jalen, I'm not sure if it's Rieger or Rager yet. I haven't figured it out. 21 to the Eagles, and then Jefferson to the Vikings at 22. First of all, the first wide receiver off the board, it's not a shock that it's Ruggs, but it's a little bit surprising. And how do we feel about him going to the Raiders? I guess maybe the first question I should ask you guys is, how do you rank these guys? How do you rank these wide receivers? And just if you're in a rookie draft that's only wide receivers for whatever strange reason in some strange league that you're in. It's just a wide receiver only league. How do you rank these guys? Will, you want to give this a shot? How would you rank Ruggs, Judy, Lamb, Rager, Jefferson?
I kind of really dislike Judy's landing spot out of all these, the worst.
Can you argue that both Judy and CeeDee Lamb have kind of bad landing spots in a sense? And if you're a Michael Gallup truther, like so many people are, how do you feel tonight? I've never really bought into Michael Gallup, and I don't have him anywhere in my dynasty leagues, and I'm very grateful I don't, because I'd be pull my hair out, I think. Right?
So I really made it far into my ranks.
sorry. Go ahead.
I love the energy. Actually, I don't actually mind CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, but I don't think that the wide receiver rank, like, you're going to go whatever running backs first, right? So we're pushing these guys down, but you're in this wide receiver only draft. I actually think CeeDee Lamb's a great creator after the catch. And that's more like Amari Cooper, in my opinion, isn't that. So they pair well together in that offense. And so he could be an easy like wide receiver too as a rookie. And that's fine. And that's going to gain value. But I'm actually struggling here a little bit. We were talking earlier, I think before we hopped on, and Trey mentioned Rager being the number one wide receiver now as a rookie. And I think I'm on board with that. I love that style of player now in the Philadelphia offense. So I think I'm going him one, because I don't think that either quarterback on the Raiders is going to get it to Ruggs enough for it to matter. And so I guess I'll put it that there. And then I don't know, man. Like, does Jefferson lead these guys now? I guess maybe I'd go Rager, Lamb, Jefferson, Judy. What do you guys think?
I'm with you. That's exactly. I'm Rieger, Lamb, Jefferson, Judy, Ruggs, and I'll tell you why Lamb's number one for me. It's because he plays for a top 5 quarterback, in my opinion, from an NFL
you mean Rager?
perspective.
You mean Rager number one? Or
no. Well, yeah. Sorry, Rager and Lamb both. The reason they're my top 2 is because they play for the best quarterbacks. I think Judy, Drew Lock, I think there's major question marks around. And I think this is going to probably open up a pretty amazing buy window, in my opinion, for Cortland Sutton, because Judy being in Denver doesn't immediately just destroy Cortland Sutton's value. And so I think that Cortland Sutton could become a buy. I like Jerry Judy. I like what he does. But I think CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Rieger, because of the quarterbacks they play with, the offenses they play for, and Rieger, I think, is just going to inevitably be forced in getting a boatload of targets. Now, I will tell you, I think the Eagles are going to probably pick another wide receiver in the next 60 picks or so. So it'll be interesting. And there's wide receiver number 6 in the first round.
Brandon Ayuk, yes, baby.
Yeah. So for me, I like those rankings. And I think I misspoke earlier. I think Justin Jefferson is actually more of a slot. I think really almost all of these guys kind of fit more in the slot, or will factor more in the slot in the NFL. So
yeah.
So
Vikings traded back.
49ers.
Yeah, Brandon Ayuk to the 49ers. So you might have to rethink your rankings.
I don't.
Six wide receivers, guys.
Brandon Ayuk fits nicely at the end of all those wide receivers. That's fine.
I know. I probably take him at the end, especially with that offense in San Francisco. I will say, so going through, I'm intrigued by Ruggs. I think maybe I would have him higher than you guys do. Although he's probably one of those tricky guys for fantasy, and I don't know, maybe. So I asked you guys this because I'm not really sure. I think Jerry Judy for the Broncos is really a great place. And Trey, I completely agree with you. I think this makes Cortland Sutton a pretty good buy opportunity, and I think it's a great fit for the offense and for Cortland Sutton in particular. But I do have my concerns about Drew Lock. I like Lamb. He was my number one wide receiver going into this draft, and I guess I have to think about it. I mean, I would have preferred him going into a place where he's clearly the number one alpha dog, but playing with Dak, I mean, man, that Dallas offense, whew, I mean, talk about some playmakers. Yeah.
Dak could be the clear winner there, really.
Yeah.
Out of all these wide receivers, it may be Dak's value that really spikes more than anything.
Oh my gosh. I mean,
He could hit Kyler levels, right? I mean, he could start going in the mid first in Superflex startups.
Yeah, I mean, he's already a top 5 Superflex QB, but it definitely elevates him. So I'm just brimming with excitement. We got 6 wide receivers, boys, in the first round. 6.
I set the over under at 4. Horrible, Will. Horrible. What did Minnesota get in that deal to move down to let them take Brandon Ayuk? Also,
so
just barf.
They moved down to pick 31, and they picked up pick 117. The pick that the 49ers got in the trade with the Bucks. I heard that. I didn't. I'm looking on Twitter right now.
Yeah, 117 isn't bad. But I feel like also that they moved up a little bit further.
Wow. That's actually a great move for the Vikings, Will. So Vikings got 31, 117, and 176 to give up 25.
Oh, nice.
That's an impressive haul to move back 6 spots.
That is nice. Really nice.
That's Patriots-esque, man.
Just to give them Brandon Ayuk, It makes me happier about the Justin Jefferson pick for the Vikes. If we're boosting, I'm honestly, are you guys surprised that Ayuk's a first rounder? I know he's being mocked there, but I'm actually pretty surprised here.
I'm a little surprised. I mean, I'm honestly surprised there are 6 wide receivers in the first round. I fully expected 4 because my thinking was that this wide receiver class is so deep that NFL teams are just going to prioritize other players. That there are other areas of the draft where it's not quite as strong, right? So yeah. So I'm certainly surprised. Yeah.
That's 5 of 11 picks. I mean,
wrong.
What's that, Trey?
Yeah, I really kind of thought the wide receiver run would get started earlier, because you had the Jets there, but Becton fell to them. And even before that, Jaguars at pick 9, I felt like they could have gone wide receiver. I mean, I was a little surprised. Yeah, I mean, you guys know this. I'm a Gator fan. I was a little surprised the CJ Henderson pick. I mean, I think that,
I wanted to ask
he's
that.
good. I think, yeah, I mean, a cornerback's always an odd pick for me. I just, anytime I see a team pick, when's the last time that you felt like a team that picked a cornerback, they really became an impact player in the top 10, I should say, or in the top 15. I just kind of feel like, safety, linebacker, defensive end, offensive tackle, and maybe they felt like they could get their guy later on.
So
of course, they end up going defense again at pick 20. So
he's probably the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. And he's been rising up. The buzz has been rising up the boards, and that shutdown corner is a valuable player to have on your roster.
So who is the guy from the Browns? Was it 2 years ago? 1 year ago? And then Jalen Ramsey was drafted in the same year as Ezekiel Elliott. That was a pretty big pick for them, even though he's gone from the team now. But his time there. Yeah. He was pretty dark. I mean, he almost led them to a Super Bowl as a part of that defense. So it is possible. And you guys know who I'm talking about, right? From the Browns, at least from Ohio State. Can't remember his name. Horrible content right here. But it's that kind of thing where they can have a good impact, and especially when you have more draft picks. But yeah, I think cornerbacks fail a lot more than they win in the top 10, right?
Yeah. But, you could probably say the same thing for wide receivers too. So, I mean,
Oh yeah.
It's all, the perspective on a pick on draft night is always different. Not always different, but quite often different than the perspective on that pick a couple years down the road. And so, I think, but anyway, I just kind of felt like, it looked like there were a lot of mock drafts, at least, that felt like the Jaguars at 9, the Jets at 11 were going to, be possibly starting I think with Becton falling, I mean, I think that was a wonderful pick for the Jets. They need to be able to protect Sam Darnold. Inevitably, they've got to be able to provide some weapons. They're going to inevitably pick at least 2 wide receivers in this draft. And so they're probably sitting there thinking, man, we could have had our pick bunch at 11. And yet now, when they get to their pick in the second round, it's going to be like wide receiver 9 or 10 they're going to be looking at. So I think that's the craziest thing is now, you know, it is a deep position, but, you know, the elite guys are flying off the board. So anyone that really has a need at wide receiver, I mean, like I look at the Miami Dolphins here at pick 26, and I think, man, I mean, they really need receivers, right? I mean, they're going to want to provide some weapons.
The Packers just moved up.
Uh-oh. Shit.
Oh, the Packers moved up.
Well, they got Preston Williams.
Here comes another wide receiver.
Maybe. We'll see.
DeAndre Swift.
Preston Williams and Devontae Parker.
I think you were thinking of Denzel Ward, by the way, Will.
Yeah, Denzel Ward. He's a pretty good impact player for them.
Yeah, Cleveland took him number 4 in 2018 after they took Baker at number 1. Yeah. So, what do you guys think of the coverage so far tonight? I have to say I miss the dedicated NFL Network coverage. Like they focus way too much on the ESPN personalities, in my opinion.
They're just milking this. This is such a milked draft because we're so starved for sports. They knew exactly what they're doing. And the pick has been in for like 20 minutes on each pick, I feel like. It bothers me.
It does seem this way. And in fact, these decisions are probably happening faster due to the technology because you don't have all these people in the room. Like, wait a second, I have something I want to say about this guy. You know, that like obviously the conversations are more limited, and I think it's probably just the head coach and GM talking to one another, getting clearance from the owners from the team. I think it's more of a streamlined process. Is my theory on it. Because you don't have all those scouts in the room with you, and you don't have to talk to your team doctors necessarily because, you know, you're these GMs are in their house with their kids, you know?
Yeah. I also think the coverage really, really hurts teams that I think a strategy in the NFL draft should be to put your pick in immediately just to throw off the next team and put them on the clock. And so that clock should start immediately and your pick should be announced. Maybe they know it between the two and when it says on the clock, but I just feel like you could really, it takes away from messing with other teams a little bit more when you have an advertising, but not advertising, but like monetary needs from a network where all the ESPN personalities haven't been on TV or haven't had enough attention paid to them, so they're really cashing in right now.
All right, here we go. The Packers.
Goodell earlier tipping the hand on the lineman. He was like, oh, they got some protection for Tua.
Jordan Love to the Packers. What? What?
Straight up.
Is Aaron Rodgers about to get Aaron Rodgers? Does that even make any sense?
4 years from now, this will affect the Packers.
That's huge, actually. That's a great pick, man. That's a great pick.
Wow. Yeah. What a good surprise.
What is Jordan Love thinking right now? He's like, well, looks like I'm not playing for a couple seasons.
Also, it's cold.
Yeah. You know what's going to happen? Well, okay, Logan, Utah is not exactly warm where he played.
But
Utah
they didn't.
State.
So the Packers kept the other first-round pick, right? Oh, no, it's gone now. Okay.
No.
You know what's going to happen?
They traded up for him.
Damn it. You know what's going to happen? He's going to turn out to be like this freaking stud, and the Packers can just continue the QB pipeline.
I would hate them. I would hate them so much.
Jordan Love is greater than Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, no, already he's a better enough quarterback. Oh my god. Oh,
I'll be honest. How
long do you wait until you trade for Jordan Love now? Do you wait 2 years? Wait 1 year and try to get ahead of it?
Well, where the key is going to be where does he go in super flex drafts? That's going to be because if he's there like, you know, the mid second, I mean, he's a no brainer pick. Even if he's, I mean, if he's there in the early second, you know, like that'll be an inch because he's got some athleticism, man. He's got some wheels.
High upside. That's a
great pick. What a luxury. I mean,
hey Trey, I've got a question for you. Let's say that you like on one of your better dynasty teams, Superflex League, you're pretty stacked, and you have the 112, and you get there, and you have a chance. Maybe a couple of these wide receivers are left that win the first round, and Jordan Love is there. Do you think about pulling the trigger on Jordan Love you've got a stacked roster, just to have that in your back pocket?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. I'm gonna have to. I mean, I think my gut reaction is no, but you know, yeah, I think probably it's going to be pretty tempting, especially because of the fact that, you know, quarterback quarterbacks are huge, right? And to be able to get a guy like this at the end of the first round there, I think probably the difference would be for me. Yeah, I think if I have a stacked roster where I literally like don't need a contributor in the next 2 years, I think I probably would. I like Jordan Love. I think I like what he offers. I really was kind of hoping that Jordan Love would end up in New Orleans as a successor for Tom Brady, for Drew Brees. I really kind of, I mean, I know Taysom Hill's there and everybody thinks he's going to take over, but I was kind of hoping Love would either go to the Patriots or the Saints. I still have hopes for Jalen Hurts, though. Jalen Hurts' landing spot and where he goes in this draft is probably going to be the most interesting for me at the quarterback position.
Yeah, I love him.
I don't believe he's Lamar Jackson by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do think that he has more potential to be a game changer at the NFL level if he goes to the right spot than I think a lot of people are giving him credit for. So Jalen Hurts may be the guy once it's all said and done, Ryan. Jalen Hurts may be the guy that at 112 I say, you know what, I'm going with the upside. If anyone that took Lamar Jackson at 112, the year he came out as a rookie, what was that, 2 years or 3 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
This is his sophomore season in 2019.
That was a home run from the 112. So that's probably the pick that I would potentially. But Jordan Love could end up being that, right? I mean, it's pretty unlikely, but that's going to be an interesting spot where you do have a team that's really, really good, and you're sitting there at the end of the first round, and there's these quarterbacks. I mean, I probably would rather have Jordan Love than Justin Herbert, and I know that sounds crazy, but
so after waiting for what I assume has broken a lot of websites, Aaron Rodgers is his contract and what he signed for is, unless he's traded or however they would work that out, he's basically on the team until 2022 through the 2022 season. So he's got 3 years.
Interesting. I wonder. I'm going to look up Aaron Rodgers' Twitter and see if he's tweeted anything about the selection. I'm very curious. Might be a good time to acquire him. He's probably motivated now. He's probably pissed off, right? Like, what are the Packers doing, man? So, interesting pick. Will, what about you? If you're dominant dynasty teams, you've got the
all my teams,
yeah, all your teams. You've got the 112. What are you gonna, if Jordan Love is there, are you like, do I want him or do I want Brandon Ayuk? I mean, I
don't want Brandon Ayuk, so I would take Jordan Love over Brandon Ayuk. I really don't. I get why you could be high on Brandon Ayuk, but I'm not very interested. It'd be more like, hey, do I want Jordan Love or do I want a guy like Clyde Edwards-Helaire if he hadn't been picked yet, or if his landing spot wasn't ideal? Or I think after I'm a little bit nervous about these wide receiver landing spots. And I know we shouldn't read too much into that because we got A.J. Brown last year and he showed us exactly what you can do and how things can change very, very rapidly. But I'm having a hard time getting psyched up about these wide receiver spots. Besides, I think Rager. I even think Jefferson, I think it's fine, but I'm not like overly jacked that he's on the Vikes.
Yeah, but I think we know something about wide receiver. I think we have to temper our expectations, especially as Will, you and I talked about on Voxer, that what's important for these guys is to these mini camps that they have and learning the playbook and getting the chemistry built with their quarterbacks and learning the NFL. And with COVID-19 and the way it looks like the season, some of this is going to get delayed, right? I mean, hopefully, knock on wood, we'll see an NFL season in 2020. But even if we do, it's not going to, the lead up to it is not going to be the same as we've experienced. Yeah. So I think I don't know that we can expect too many of these rookie wide receivers to just explode in 2020.
Yeah. So to me, that boosts up Jordan Love, like above those guys.
Yeah. He's interesting. I mean, now. And it'll be interesting to see what the Packers do later on in this draft, because I think the Packers need a wide receiver. I mean, they just don't. I mean, they've tried, running with Geronimo Allison and these other guys, and it's just,
Alan Lazard.
It's not Alan Lazard. It's just not working. They need someone to match with Adams, and We'll
I
see
think
if
on
they get it.
I think on every single NFL.com mock draft they had Ayuk going to the Packers, which I was like, oh, it's boring.
Yeah, maybe the Niners, moved up and they got their guy. So we shall see. We talking about landing spots. Will, getting back to that though, I Ruggs to the Raiders. I don't think that's a bad landing spot. I mean, he clearly goes in, and who's he competing with? Tyrell Williams is the number one wide receiver in Las Vegas. So I think that's a good landing spot. You can question him as a talent, but he's the first wide receiver off the board, and he's going to be the wide receiver one in Las Vegas. Jerry Jeudy, maybe his ceiling is capped, but I think the big thing with him is Drew Lock. I guess I don't love that landing spot, but CeeDee Lamb is matched with Dak. Rieger, you got him matched with Carson Wentz. He steps in as the number one guy there. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen's getting older. He's not going to be the number one there forever. So I don't think that's horrible. And Ayuk going to San Francisco, I mean, they'll know how to use him. So, I mean, is it ideal? All these guys where they went? No, but it never is. So I don't think it's horrible where the wide receivers have landed. And Will is still making faces at me.
It's just gross. That's all, because Ryan, we've talked about it. We're fans of Ruggs, and I just don't. I don't trust how that offense is going to run with it. Like I can't. I'm having just a really hard time picturing how that's successful. And I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again in life, but I'm really struggling with that at this moment in time. I'm having a hard time being positive about Ruggs' landing spot on the Raiders.
Do we trust the Raiders as an organization? Are they a smart organization, Trey?
No. Sorry. Trey.
A little too early to tell. I think it's a little too early to tell. I think everybody kind of hated on them last year for their draft picks. And I think after a year, retrospectively, I think some of the draft picks they made were pretty solid. And so, I think it might be – I think that Ruggs could be the classic. And I know this is so cliche to say, but I think he could be much better for the NFL than he is going to be for fantasy. Like he's a big play. I mean, the guy has elite speed. And so you look at the guy like Mecole Hardman, right, who went to the Chiefs last year, and maybe not great for fantasy, but when you're an NFL defense and you have to account for that kind of game-breaking speed, it just changes things. When you have a guy like Josh Jacobs, and an elite offensive line, one of the commentators on TV said that he felt like just the presence of Ruggs alone in that huddle was going to open up more running lanes for Josh Jacobs. So I think, and I'll be honest, I think Derek Carr is a very underrated quarterback from a fantasy perspective. And I think that I kind of am intrigued to watch what Mayock and Gruden are building out there. I'm intrigued. They definitely need weapons on offense. I don't think they're done. It'll be interesting to see if they add another wide receiver, in the second or third round. I don't hate the pick from the perspective of it adds an elite speed weapon on offense. I don't know that I want him on my dynasty team, but from an NFL perspective, I think it was a nice pick. Now, whether it was the right pick or not, time will tell, but
yeah,
definitely was an Al Davis throwback, man. I mean, it was definitely a throwback to the Raiders days of Al Davis. I mean, I think you were the one that said that, Will. You hit the nail on the head.
It's just, Al Davis, like there's a thumbs up that came out from the ground.
That's right.
It was Al Davis, just so proud, and Trey, I think you're right, but I also think, and it's not, I'm trying not to use Iowa homerism here, but I think adding to that offensive line with a guy like Wirfs would have been a much better value. And then grabbing a wide receiver that can stretch the field later in the draft. There's still fast guys out there that can run down the field quickly. I do think, I guess I'm just a fan of Ruggs overall, but I like the idea of investing in that offensive line, getting one of those big four, regardless of who slipped right there. Or even I like Austin Jackson too from USC. So having that be your core is a much, I think that's been proven time and time again. And that's a much better strategy than trying to add these outlier wide receivers to improve your passing game. So that's the only reason, it makes me unexcited for Ruggs, basically. Long story short, when it comes to fantasy, I agree that he's going to be a better asset on the field for the team than what he will be in fantasy. And it makes me sad. I was kind of hoping he's going to go to, I don't know, just not the Raiders or Jets.
He's going to be so polarizing. I think there are people that really have bought into him and people that haven't. The fact of the matter is he was not even the number one wide receiver at Alabama. I mean, obviously that program is unbelievable and the talent they have, and the wide receivers he was playing with are it's just crazy how talented that those wide receivers are. But yeah, I think he's going to be really polarizing. I think he's one of those guys that's going to be all over the place. He could go, as high as like a 105 or 106 in a Superflex draft, and then I think he could slip down the board in others. So
I think it was interesting. I think it was Matt Friedman who was on the Roto Underworld podcast said that on the Alabama college offense this year, it was a net negative compared to the other receiving options on the team for them to throw to Jerry Jeudy, which I thought was super interesting. I mean, that's your stat watching there, but it's just an interesting stat, like that comparatively those targets were actually a net negative compared to targets to the other wide receivers on the team, which is just kind of fun. Just kind of fun. Let's throw that out there.
So like there's a lot of hate on Twitter already for the Seahawks pick.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know a lot about. Was it Brooks, the inside linebacker from Tennessee Tech? Is that right?
Texas Tech.
Tennessee Tech. That would have been a hell of a pick, taking an inside linebacker from Tennessee Tech. Let me tell you, Texas Tech. I don't know a lot about him. I don't remember seeing his name leading up to the draft in terms of where he was going to go. So, but Seattle beats to their own drum, right? I mean, they're the team that took Rashad Penny a couple of years ago when no one else saw that coming. So
that really worked out, eh?
Still could. Come
I thought
on.
for sure they were going to go running back there.
Keep the faith. Yeah, there was some buzz that they would take a running back right early. I mean, I guess they still could, but we'll see. I'm going to look up where Paul Perticchese, our friend, host of the Saturday Sunday Football Podcast, one of the hosts, where he might have had that linebacker, because I am curious. Not that this is an IDP podcast, but I am curious.
He's also pretty good at guessing the first round.
Yeah, so Paul had him
predicting. He does predictions. I do guesses.
Yeah, Paul had him just outside of the first round, so not a tremendous reach, but interesting.
Where did he have Patrick Queen, the LSU linebacker?
He hasn't gone in the first, but he's still on the board, isn't he? Unless I missed something.
I think he's about to come off the board.
Yeah,
I think he's about to come off the board.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens here. So guys, I have to say,
have you picked yet in our draft?
What's that?
Have you picked yet in our draft?
No, I'm kind of waiting to see how this plays out. I am kind of wondering if you know what, I know who I want. And I don't think he's going to slip. So I will. So listeners, what we're doing is we're doing a little Joe's draft night mock first night. So tomorrow, just so everyone knows, we're going to have a bunch of our friends in the Dynasty community come in and join us. Tonight, you got the three Joes, and we've got some of our friends in the chat. And Trey has already drafted. Trey, you want to say who your number one pick is, unless you're going to change it?
No, I'm not changing it. He's been my 101 and will stay my 101 regardless of landing spot. And that's Jonathan Taylor. I just think, you look at the guy, I mean, the guy had over 6,000 yards rushing in college. And I know that there's been some concern mentioned above, and I put this on our little, draft thing. He actually had more receptions than DeAndre Swift and more yards per catch last season than DeAndre Swift, more receiving touchdowns, and in an offense that threw the ball, maybe I think 50 or 60 less times. So I just think that it's kind of like with Leonard Fournette, right? Like when he came in the league, people were concerned that he couldn't catch the ball. And I think not catching the ball, the fact that he didn't doesn't mean he can't. So I'm not as concerned about that. I think that he is an elite running back. Obviously it's going to be nice to see him go. The draft capital and the landing spot continue to reinforce. But for me, he's my pretty clear 101 right now in all formats.
And I'm very happy I have the
Oh,
102.
there goes Patrick Queen. Sorry.
Oh yeah, there he is. Go to the Ravens. Darn it, the Ravens just keep getting better and better.
I was hoping they were taking Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, well, that's probably a better pick for them, Patrick Queen, because they don't really need any running backs, but they'll just keep reloading on defense, and I'm sure he's going to be great for them.
They have this running back named Lamar Jackson.
Patrick Queen is probably a really interesting IDP pick, by the way, but boo. I'm taking DeAndre Swift. I'm happy that Trey took Taylor at the 101 because Swift is probably still my 101. I just think that you just can't ignore the fact that he's more likely to be a 3-down back in the NFL and be a better fantasy producer. I mean, Taylor could. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor was a better fantasy asset than Swift, but I'm happy since he's off the board anyway. I don't have the choice to take Taylor. I'll take Swift. It's easy for me. I mean, Joe Burrow, who went to off at the 103 already, is certainly tempting there. But one of the things that scares me with Burrow is just the fact he really came out of nowhere, and he doesn't have that track record in college. He had one of the best seasons, if not the best season ever for a college football quarterback. And I think he's going to be pretty phenomenal, but it makes me nervous. He doesn't have the track record. That all 4 years, a couple of years, he has that 1 year. And he was in a tremendous program that might've inflated his numbers, and he's going to the Cincinnati, which historically is not exactly the best franchise to be attached to. So that being said, I think he's fine if you take him at the 101, but I'm comfortable with Swift. So
nice.
Are you at the 104, Will?
Yeah, it took. So we went Burrow, then Tua.
So Tua slipped down. So it's one of the guys that's in our draft at the 103. It's right. I don't know how to pronounce Tyler. I don't know how to pronounce his name is right. He saw me panic. Guilty as charged, Tyler. I'm sorry. I've always wondered in the chat. It's like, is it Tyler?
I've never met another Tyler.
Yeah.
That might even be incorrect. It might be Tylord. There's an unwritten D at the end of that. I'm pretty sure.
So I'm sorry. Apologies in advance. So I don't even know how to pronounce.
You tell some of the Tyler jokes on this podcast. He's a pretty funny dude.
He is indeed. All right, so we've got 2 running backs, 2 quarterbacks off the board.
Akers goes RB2. Jake, dirty
what?
talk.
What happened?
So Tua went 4, and then 5 goes Cam Akers from JP.
Did he get drafted and we just missed it in the first round?
No, we're just so basically we're gonna choose those 4 running backs, right, as a group over any wide receiver at this point in time. I'm pretty set on that. Maybe Ryan, you do 5 because you add in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but
yeah, I would. I love Edwards-Helaire, and I might be wrong about him, but yeah, I do. I'll tell you what, I sent you guys in the Vox the other day, the Fantasy Joe's Vox. It was Evan Silva that did this research, and we've talked about this before, but I guess I never really examined it as closely as he did with wide receivers taken in the first round. The last several years, terrible track record for that. So I'm trying to find it. I'm going back to find it on my phone here, but yeah, I want to take the running backs over the wide receivers, especially since it's not like there's one wide receiver that landed in the perfect landing spot, frankly. So I don't know. Trey, you on board with that? You want to take some of these wide receivers above these running backs? Trey, I think you're on mute, by the way.
I had the 6th pick. It was a tough decision for me, and I went, blindly. I went Dobbins over.
I think it's a great pick.
Lamb or Rager, and I really wanted to go Rager, to be completely honest. But I think, unless Dobbins ends up in just a bad landing spot with poor draft capital, if he goes like end of the 3rd round to like Seattle, right? Or some just murky situation that doesn't have a clear
San Francisco
track to production, then maybe I rethink that and I come back and I take but if I were literally on the clock right now at the, sixth pick of a rookie draft and had to make my pick before, in 10 minutes, I'm taking Dobbins. I'm taking and I'll be honest, there is a part of me that considers Clyde Edwards-Helaire there over Dobbins. And I know that may be, a little spicy, but I do think that there could be the tiebreaker between those two guys for me will probably be landing spot draft capital dependent. For me, it's a pretty clear 1, 2, 3 with Taylor and Swift being ever so close at 1 and 2. Akers, a clear second tier for me, kind of by himself, and then Dobbins and Edwards-Helaire being in this kind of third tier for me. And I don't feel like Akers is far and away. I feel like the reason Akers is getting dropped down is because of his production at Florida State, but their offensive line and offensive play was just atrocious. So I think for me, Dobbins is the guy if I had to make the pick right now, he's the guy.
Yeah. And I think I'm just trying to protect myself with my opinion about Akers, because I do really like Cam Akers, but I've fallen in love with running backs in the past, and you guys know this, and it just doesn't pan out. So I'm kind of holding off, trying to be more centered about it and pay a little bit more attention to draft capital. So Akers, I do really like, and I like the stance there, but it does scare me because I also like him, and that is sometimes a tough pill to swallow.
But you know what else doesn't pan out all the time, Will? That's first round wide receivers. So this is via Evan Silva. So he looked at the wide receivers taken the first round between 2014 and 2018, right? So let me read you this list, guys. It's a great list. You got Corey Davis, Kevin White, Mike Williams, John Ross, Devontae Parker, Corey Coleman, Nelson Aguilar, Will Fuller, Josh Doxson, LaCron Treadwell, DJ Moore, and Brashard Perryman. How many of those guys are clear hits? Evan Silva labels 3 of them fairly definitive, and you've got 9 misses and then 3 juries still out. So that's not a great list. So if you're drafting your rookie drafts, you're rolling the dice with wide receivers. As much as we like some of these guys, I just think that, running backs are the way to go, or quarterbacks. Because you could take CeeDee Lamb and he turns out to be this first round startup pick in a couple of years. That's certainly possible, but it's also risky. It's hard to figure out these guys, right? And there are second round wide receivers now that have more value than these guys taking the first round. Like Godwin comes to mind off the top of my head. Cooper Kupp, who did he go in the third round? Kenny Galladay. So wide receivers are hard to project. So yeah, I'm with you guys on being heavy on the running backs here in these drafts in 2020.
The Tennessee Titans go Isaiah Wilson at pick 29. Actually, I feel like he's had a little bit of buzz on the draft community, and I kind of like that pick for them.
What's up with Mike Vrabel's son? I guess that's his son, I'm assuming. Like wearing number 50, he's got a mullet. He kind of looks like the Tiger King a little bit, like a younger version
with the
clown
suit on. What's happening?
What the heck, man? Oh, and then Ruggs was it Ruggs that was wearing the robe and his I mean that may not have been Ruggs. It was one of the wide receivers was like in his robe in his living room. I was like, that's nice. That's awesome.
That's funny. All right, Ryan, you're up. Oh no, yeah, you are up in the mock with the 7th.
Let's get a pick right here, now.
Can you recap, Trey, for me who's off the board and for our listeners? So
Jonathan Taylor went first. DeAndre Swift went second. Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa went 3rd and 4th. Cam Akers and J.K. Dobbins went 5th and 6th. So we have 4 running backs and 2 wide receivers off the board. You can still take your number 1 tight end.
No, you're telling me that there are 4 running backs off the board, but there's still one that I covet, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, right? So if I have the opportunity, I'm going to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thank you very much.
Are you going to type it into the group chat?
Yeah.
Ooh.
If I must.
32nd pick in the NFL draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he immediately skyrockets to the 101.
Ryan.
I think I think this next pick of the Dolphins is the last shot at a running back going in the first round, because I don't think the Vikings or the Chiefs go running back. I mean, if the Vikings go running back, it's going to be like implosion city on Twitter. But
that'd be wild. I mean, why would they do that? But that would be wild. Unless someone trades into the pick, right? There could be a trade.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll see. And
right.
I hope I'm wrong on this, but I think the Chiefs are going to take a defensive player. I just, as much as we would love for them to take a running back, that would be awesome. But I think it's happening. We'll find out. There it is.
Tyler takes Jalen Rieger at the 108.
Nice.
Receiver 1 off the board. I love the pick. That's quality.
Yeah. That's nice to get Philadelphia's wide receiver 1 at the 108. That's nuts. That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. He's good. And if you remember when we had on Kane and Caleb, we were talking about these guys. Man, they were both just. I think Kane was in particular was just salivating about how excited he was about Rager. So
all right, boys, my pick's in too.
Ooh, here we go. And the pick is, do you want to announce it?
So I went with CeeDee Lamb over Justin Herbert. I still really like CeeDee Lamb, and I don't think that landing spot is a death sentence. So I actually kind of like it.
What about Michael Gallup? Like, is Michael Gallup the biggest loser of tonight? Who are the biggest losers of tonight in terms of dynasty value? Or is Michael Gallup a goodbye? I mean, because people.
He's goodbye.
Is it goodbye or a goodbye?
I was about to say, you got to really kind of clarify there. I think it's an adios for the most part for Michael Gallup. I think it's going to be interesting. How you guys remind me, Amari Cooper signed a new contract with the Cowboys, right? But
right.
What were because I heard some people saying, didn't they just give him like a massive deal? Like, he's not going anywhere.
No, it's like 5 years, $100 million.
Yeah.
Let's go to Fancy Joe's capologist, Will Greenwood.
Hey guys, let me type this into SpoTrack, which seems to be working very slowly during these draft times. So it was 5 years, $100 million. Boom, 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 boom. Got that right. But his dead cap hit so he signed basically for 2 years, and then after that he's cuttable.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, I think because you're looking at a 5-year contract likely for CeeDee Lamb. So, I think Michael Gallup still has some clearly not what people were hoping. I think people were hoping he becomes clearly the number 2 wide receiver there. And I just think, that whole offense is winners in a lot of ways. I mean, I think for Zeke, you got to think to yourself, with Michael Gallup as your 3rd wide receiver and Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb, I mean, teams are just not going to be able to stack the box. So you got a quarterback in Dak that can make people miss and get the ball to those receivers. I think could be a really great opportunity for Zeke. So I like the pick a lot there.
But both the Dallas Cowboys and the Will Greenwood pick. Boom. Okay.
There we have it. Jake's pick is in
at the 111 because Jake went with what? Justin Herbert.
So Herbert goes 110. There's our. I mean, it may not be Jordan Love you're deciding about at the 112 in some drafts, Ryan. It might be Justin Herbert.
Yeah, 110 is a pretty far fall, but I also think it just depends where Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes. I have a hard time boosting him ahead of those 2 wide receivers and maybe even Herbert, but I don't know. I don't know. I got to think. This is fun.
Look at DeAndre Swift. His background on wherever he is, he's got like it's like almost like Bizarro superheroes. Did you guys see that? Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. I don't know if you guys are watching the coverage or not. And then Jonathan Taylor's in this very nice living room. It's just very organized. They're showing all the running backs on the coverage. Miami is up at number 30, so maybe there's a feeling that a running back could go off the board here. We'll see.
Really tempted to. I think I'm going to do it.
You're at the 111. What are you thinking about doing? So while you're thinking about it, Trey, I'll just read through. We got Jonathan Taylor at number 1, Swift at number 2, Burrow 3, Tua 4, Cam Akers 5, Dobbins 6, Edwards-Helaire 7, Jalen Reagor 8, CeeDee Lamb 9, and let's see, Herbert 10, and then Trey Barrett took Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Justin Jefferson over Judy, and for me, it's partly the offense, it's partly the quarterback. I do like Jerry Jeudy. I'm not saying I dislike him, but I don't love the landing spot, and this is kind of just an off the cuff. I'm taking my guy. I do think taking Jefferson over Jeudy is not going to be that's probably a little spicy by most people's.
I'd give it a milk take.
Definition.
Carolina Reaper, baby. No,
Woo.
Well, I think with the 112, then I think it makes it somewhat easier for me because I mean, I'm thinking about Ruggs. I mean, obviously between Ruggs and Judy at this point, but I have to go with Judy, who is the, going into this draft, considered, by some people maybe the top wide receiver, but it's certainly the number 2 wide receiver. So it's tough though. I have to think about this because it depends on my team. Because I think with Ruggs, he probably have more upside, but I think at the end of the day, I do think he's going to be an unreliable fantasy asset. And I think Judy, while I don't think he's necessarily going to ever be this wide receiver 1 in the league, I mean, he's a guy that I think is going to be startable for me. I think he's going to be a good NFL player and put up decent fantasy numbers, if nothing else. So there we go. I'll take Judy. The 112, that's wild. To get a guy like Jerry Jeudy at the 112.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And the Dolphins just took a cornerback, everybody. All those
There
running
it
backs
is.
there
Oh
watching.
no.
Trey, what's his last name? Noah Igbenachene.
Benachini.
Honestly.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And then
Big Benogany.
Ruggs goes with the 201, which
Wow.
means Jordan Love is going at the 202, everybody.
Oh, nice.
I own Aaron Rodgers. Is probably my most owned quarterback in any dynasty league, Superflex. Not really one QB, but Superflex. I seem to have a lot of Aaron Rodgers, so that is affecting the mindset around this pick. But I mean, I'll sit on that. I'd rather have him than Brandon Ayuk or AJ Dillon. I mean, AJ Dillon's always tempting, but I don't trust his draft capital. I got to wait for that. So I'm going to go with Jordan Love.
I like the pick.
Pretty easy scoop and score right there for me.
Yeah, I think that's nice to get him there at the 202.
And then it goes Judy Ruggs, the Alabama wide receivers back to back there too. I actually think Ruggs right there too is a fine pick.
Oh,
yeah. We're talking about him like he's a great, a better NFL player than fantasy, but he could still. I don't want to rule out that Ruggs has a higher upside than what we're giving him. I know everybody wants to.
He certainly does.
Jackson, but I feel like he could be better than Deshaun Jackson as far as not just a field stretcher. Anyway,
I have to be honest. I think the Love pick's early. I think it's, I think there's a real possibility that Brandon Ayuk becomes the number 1 wide receiver in that San Francisco offense. And two, you mentioned it, Will. You definitely don't know yet the landing spot, but I think AJ Dillon is probably pretty tempting there. I'm just super curious. Aaron Rodgers is locked in as the quarterback for the next 3 years. So I feel like Jordan Love 12 months from now is going to be a forgotten guy. I think you're going to be able to buy him for significantly cheaper, and maybe not. Maybe they could always. But
we're in the second round though. 202.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I just think that it's a conversation point. I think he's going to be an interesting guy as far as where he goes. I just think that it's going to be very hard for him to maintain or grow in value in the next 12 to 24 months. So taking in with a class this deep, taking him in the early second, I think will be something that you might regret 12 months from now.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think so let's say I don't have Aaron Rodgers on the roster. I think I might be able to go and acquire Aaron Rodgers still and kind of stack that. I know like a cuff quarterback is like, it's not super savvy dynasty strategy, but if I'm going to build around this, at least have some value insulation for now. Because Aaron Rodgers hasn't been he's not the epitome of a healthy quarterback.
Right. I think anyone that's discounting Aaron Rodgers because of the Jordan Love pick, I'm buying all day long. No questions asked. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. No question asked. He's leaving on his own terms. There's no way this means anything for, I think it was just them feeling like that it was an optimal.
Yeah.
This is like
quarterback run here. Yeah, for the Vikings.
Well, because everyone's seeing all these wide receivers being taken. They're like, we need to get cornerbacks to defend these guys.
Yeah.
That's the truth, man.
I think also the Love pick too is just I'm not excited about what's happening this first round. And there's not a running back that I trust to have high enough draft capital to move Love at this point. I'm sure that pick will be different as of tomorrow.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like if AJ Dillon goes in the third round, I'm taking AJ Dillon over Jordan Love.
Yeah, I can respect that.
But
it's
just risk mitigation, I guess. And super risk mitigation 4 years down the line when I've won 4 championships in a row with Aaron Rodgers and he retires and then Jordan Love becomes the next Aaron Rodgers.
I think that probably by the end of the night, tomorrow night, there will be another quarterback that you would take above Jordan Love.
Yeah, I really, really like Jalen Hurts too.
Yeah.
So this is it. This is the end of the draft. I thought this broadcast was going to go on a lot longer, but I'm very happy that it's not.
The only way this night could be better is if Kansas City drafts a running back here. I mean, that Twitter will just move into meltdown. It would just be the most beautiful into this first round. It's not going to happen, but nobody thought that the Patriots were going to take N'Keal Harry last year. So we'll see.
Do you think there's a last second trade up into here to try to get that 5th year eligibility? Like somebody's coming in, they're going to take Jalen Hurts so they can have that 5th year option.
That would be awesome.
I mean, I think there's a great possibility of that. As a matter of fact, I think that there's probably some significant, they don't have a ton of time, but they're definitely, there's no reason for them to pick with anything more than 60 seconds left on the clock, right? I mean, you got to let the phone calls come in.
Like, I'd like to see the Jags use some of their draft capital and come up here and take Jalen.
That would
be
so
great. The Chiefs take DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. If the Chiefs take a running back here, regardless of who it is, we need to redo the mock draft.
AJ Dillon.
It's over.
Oh, if it's AJ Dillon, I'm gonna have to mute out my camera because my pants will be off.
No, there's no way it's gonna be AJ Dillon, but that would be fun.
I can't see them taking him. He's like the anti-Chiefs.
I like how we're talking AJ Dillon like end of round 1, like real draft talk, and he's like mocked in like the 4th or 3rd round at the earliest.
I love Andy Reid. Andy Reid is sitting here, guys, on the coverage. He's wearing like an Hawaiian shirt. He's like looking down on his phone. It's awesome.
No, he's fallen asleep, but looks so peaceful that nobody's woken him up yet. Like on the couch, like he's got like a chicken wing sitting on his jacket. Like
it's the weirdest camera angle too. It's like they put the camera on his desk and he's like looking down like this. He's like, it's so.
Oh, I'm not watching it live. I was just thinking my ideal situation.
Yeah. You got word they're trading the pick, or you're speculating, Trey?
No, I'm speculating.
This is gonna be great for the listeners that listen to this on the podcast on Friday morning, and they know what happens. They're like, okay, guys, this is not great. Who's up in the draft? I think I he's Jake, and Jake said, "Can I wait to see who Kansas City picks?" So, and I said to him,
and you said yes. I immediately meant to say no.
Okay. Yeah, I know. What's up with that, Jake?
All right. Well, let's see. You have to pick now.
Yeah, Jake pick. Pick Jake pick.
So it'll be fun. I think tomorrow night when we do this and we get the round 2 and 3 picks, when we see some running backs go at the board, I just can't wait for that. I mean, I'm already super, as you guys can tell, super excited about these rookie drafts we have coming up because I mean, just this mock draft we're doing alone. I mean,
he goes Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I mean, you can get a guy that went to the 49ers in the first round, a wide receiver that went to the first round at the 203. I mean, that's crazy, guys. I mean, this is so awesome. This is so great.
So that puts Trey Barrett. Oh,
picks in.
See.
Oh, there it is.
The pick is in. What a great pick at the 204. 24 hours from now, it's going to look awful, but for now, I feel wonderful about it.
Yeah, you should. So this is Ryan Livergood.
It is.
Who are you going with?
I mean, we would have probably, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, we probably would have thought Brandon Love, I mean, Jordan Love, sorry. Jordan Love, I mean, so Hurts could go somewhere that he gets just completely blocked. They're taking all the clock, man. Look at him.
In order.
I'm trying to trade out. No, I'm just kidding. You'll see. You
and the Walrus. Oh, the pick is in.
I'm taking Mims.
Oh, dude! Please take a running back. This is. They're talking. They're talking about them taking a running back.
Oh, here I can.
Does Andy Reid keep making like finger motions like this?
I don't think Andy Reid has ever taken. He's never been associated with a team that's taken a running back in the first round. Doesn't mean it won't happen. So, yeah, I'm gonna turn this on. Listen to them talking. I'll mute my microphone.
All right, so Tyler's up. I'd like to get my next picking. This would be awesome.
Oh my gosh! What the heck?
This is great, podcast listeners on Friday morning. You're
unbelievable! This is fantastic.
No, what do you know?
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. It's happening. No, it's happening. Just wait. Ryan with the pick of the first round, the bargain of the first round. Oh my gosh!
No way. Are you just hyping me up here?
And Andy Reid just turned around to watch his TV to see this pick. He's chewing on his gum. He's just chomping away. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to load up this offense and this is going to crush."
What is this? This is the sixth LSU player taken in the first round.
No,
gentlemen,
the pick is in.
It's not CEH.
Pants are about to come off, guys.
Oh my!
I'm telling you,
God,
it's happening, boys.
All right.
It's happening.
I'm turning on my TV.
Running back one.
Wait, are we betting on this?
It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I promise you.
The Super Bowl champion.
Unbelievable.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh yes! Oh my God!
Fascinating running back for them this past season.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. Where did I take him in this draft? Which is not going to happen. You're never going to get him wherever I took him in this mock draft.
7th. You took him 7th.
So guys, is Clyde is he the number one running back? Is he the 101? Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire the 101?
Oh.
Trey Willer with like their heads are down. They can't. We're just all in shock. What? It's unbelievable. Oh
what just happened?
This is like a dream come true. Oh my gosh! As terrible as the world is right now with COVID-19, nothing to look forward to. We have the Kansas City Chiefs in the first round taking a running back, guys. Oh man, woo! I don't believe what I just saw.
I feel like
we believe in miracles. Yes. Oh man.
Oh man. Oh man.
Okay, we need we need some instant reaction, gentlemen. We need your thoughts. Trey Barrett doing the draft again. You're on the clock. 101. Who do you pick?
Oh my God.
Jonathan Taylor.
Oh wow.
I'm okay. No, okay. Real talk. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. I'm taking Jonathan Taylor, and I mean but my goodness, like in so many leagues, people are going to be willing to pay out the wazoo to come up and get this guy. Oh my gosh, man, this is insane. No, I'm still taking Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, I
He's still my 101.
absolutely
I'm sticking
love
with it.
guys. So in a single quarterback full PPR league, I went ahead and I moved to 2021 first to move up from 106 to 104 to ensure that I got one of those big four. And now I for sure get my pick of at least two of those big four.
Right.
And I'm very excited about that. Very, very, very excited about that. I don't get me wrong. I think Hilaire should be moved up and appropriately, but at the 101, like let's say in our Foot Clan Dynasty, Trey, if you still want to do the 101 for might take that back. I'm probably not gonna take I'm probably still gonna go Jonathan Taylor, assuming that he goes quickly in this second round. But
wow. He's going to the Detroit Lions, by the way. So just wait for that.
Yeah.
I want to see where mock drafts had him, because I think
am I having take lock here, or should we be moving Clyde Edwards-Helaire up? Are we having take lock, boys?
No, I mean, as you and I talked about,
like take lock on a player. Like should we react more to this pick?
In what sense? I mean, should that's what I'm asking.
Jump to the top of the board. He's the only first round running back. Should he jump to the top of the board? Is this not a Josh Jacobs move from last year?
I mean, for me, it's certainly a consideration. I mean, if I don't have the 101, though, I'm not going to go out and trade it to take Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm actually pretty happy because most of my drafts where I have high picks, I've got like the 103, 104. So this is going to allow guys that I like almost as much to slide down. And if I have to take him at the 103, 104, that's great. So I think this is good. I mean, I just say, guys, for fantasy, for dynasty, for rookie drafts, this first round went about as well as it could have gone. I think you got so many wide receivers that have we've got 6 of them that were taken in the first round. You've got a first round running back. You've got the quarterbacks that were taken off the board. What more could you ask for, right? I mean, maybe some better landing spots for some of the wide receivers, but overall, I mean, my goodness gracious.
Unbelievable, man. I mean, this is really unbelievable. I cannot even. Holy cow. Ryan McDowell. You know how Ryan McDowell tweets every year and he places guys in his rankings?
Yeah.
He just put Clyde Edwards-Helaire as the running back 12 between Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry.
That's pretty wild.
That's
I think he should be higher.
Super aggressive.
Hey,
he's a hard sell.
Trey, you're a big Devy guy, probably the biggest among the three of us. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire even on rosters on all Devy leagues?
No, I mean, he's not on probably any. So this brings an interesting point, Ryan. And you and I in that one league where you and I co-own a team and we have the 101 and we were like going to take Joe Burrow because Joe Burrow is still available. There's like 200 Devy in that league. Cool. Clyde Edwards-Helaire isn't owned either. So there's going to now be conversations in leagues like that. I mean, I would imagine that there are no Devy leagues, hardly any Devy leagues where Clyde Edwards-Helaire actually owned. And so, I mean, it's going to be a tough decision there at the top of, because in a 4-point passing touchdown league, I think that's a 6-point passing touchdown league. So I think Burrow maybe is a little more the pick, but man, I mean,
what a night.
The guy could score 16, 17 touchdowns. I mean, just being in that offense is wow.
I'm looking at the last Superflex mock, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not even in the top 10 of picks. So that's, oh my gosh, yeah. This is fun, guys.
Unbelievable.
Well,
when
guys,
I saw the first tweet that said, I think that the Chiefs are taking Edwards-Helaire, I was like, there's no way.
Right. I think that Gridiron Heights draft is going to be very fun, too.
I think so, too. I tried to get Ryan to Cohen with me, but
I still can decide. It's tomorrow, right? I can still jump in.
I tried to make a joke, Trey, after I put in that group chat that whatever deal you want, I'll one-up it. And then I got a deal sent to me, and I was like, I can't do that.
I'm actually.
Ryan and I were talking, and I was like, Ryan, I'll make a better offer than Trey if you co-own with me. But I was kidding.
I actually decided to co-own a team with Tim Torch, who's in that league. So Tim and I are going to be co-owners.
Actually, no, Ryan is co-owner. Ryan is
Just kidding.
co-owners with Trey, Tim, and Will. In that league. He has 3 teams.
He's got a 1 in 4 shot of winning the league all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Which actually, if he would just co-own with me, probably have better odds.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I could trade down more effectively when I'm on the clock.
Oh,
especially now that Dak probably skyrockets in the top 5 or 6.
Oh man, that's fun. That's fun.
Man.
It's gonna be fun to be in the startup league. I do need to co-on with one of you guys for that league because that's fun because all of a sudden values have just changed overnight with one round of the 2020 NFL draft. So
I kind of hate being at 106 in that draft because I feel like I'm gonna end up taking somebody like Zeke, or have to go tight end, and I don't necessarily love that.
You get your guy Kittle.
It's honestly in 2 tight end. I think Kittle's value is so underrated.
Yeah.
2 tight end premium.
Until they trade for what was it? I saw someone say they heard there were rumors that the 49ers were going to trade for Evan Ingram, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I saw that they were interested in
cluster.
OJ Howard too, and I was like, what is going on?
That would be a cluster.
So guys, I think do we want to shut down the drafter party, keep it going? It's after midnight Eastern time.
After midnight,
we can finish our draft.
Oh, we got to finish the draft. Okay, so let's finish the draft, and this will be fun because we're basically at this point we're taking guys that.
Oh, I'm
Jake
on the clock.
Goes Kittle gone at the 105. I love live feedback. That's awesome.
Okay. So Hurts, man.
So I took Mims at the 205. So man, I'm loving this draft for me. Yeah, you're right. The steal of the draft all of a sudden is Edwards Helaire at the 107. Which
Ty Lord takes Higgins at the 206. Which I actually like that value. I think Higgins still has upside. We're just not as excited as we used to be about him, And then at 207, I went Laviska Shenault, which I think the Vikings should have waited to take in the second round. And then Brian Edwards goes at the 208. And now we have Trey Barrett on the clock.
No, Trey Barrett just took the player he wanted to take when he took Hurts at 204. Not the steal of the draft. Ryan already locked that one up, but it's going to be a close second.
Yeah.
I want him to go to Tennessee so bad. It makes too much sense.
For AJ Dillon?
Yeah, man. I mean, he's like a Derrick Henry clone. Goes to Tennessee, hangs out for a year, and takes over next year. And that would probably knock him down rookie drafts a little bit too, right? People think he's kind of blocked by. It's the same thing with Derrick Henry, man. He was drafted and they had DeMarco Murray, right? And so Derrick Henry went kind of late in rookie drafts because they had DeMarco Murray, right? And so you kind of got a value on Derrick Henry. And he didn't do anything for a couple years, but I think you could see a similar. I mean, I think it's almost a guarantee that with the running back talent available that the Titans take a running back in the second day of the draft.
It's the smart thing to do. Give Derrick Henry his franchise tag, run him into the ground one more year, and then have his replacement ready to go. That's just good football move. Ryan, 210. Who you going with?
Yeah, this is tough.
Oh my goodness, let's go.
Honestly. So you know what? I'm gonna go with God, this is tough because basically all the quarterbacks I like are off the board. I don't really love any of the running backs left. Wide receivers are getting pretty depleted. I guess I'll take the God, what is his name? I can't even think of his name. There's so many wide receivers in this draft class. Hold on, give me a second. Buy me some time, guys. Have some discussion. What's the biggest surprise of the night? Is it Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Kansas City? It's got to be, right?
100%. 100%.
I can't believe that they would take him over Jonathan Taylor. That floors me.
So let's pretend.
We even had this conversation. Ugh.
Let's project. Where does Clyde Edwards-Helaire settle out in? If you had to predict a top 5 right now, ADP. Fast forward to August. What is your top 5 Superflex ADP?
For rookies, you mean?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume we're gonna get some good draft capital for J.K. Dobbins and Jonathan Taylor. I think they're going the second. So I do think that they have the potential to still be above Hilaire. And I think in most in super flex. So I'm gonna go Burrow, Taylor, Hilaire, Tua, Dobbins. And then I'm going to go Akers after that because I think Akers has the best chance to slip in round 2 to 3 out of those.
What about you, Ryan?
I've got my top 5. I've got what I think is going to happen in terms of the consensus. I think Burrow.
Yeah, like what will be the ADP?
Yeah, Burrow to.
I said Swift in there, right? Did I miss that? Dang it. Okay, it's fine.
Did you?
Anyway, sorry. Continue.
I've got Burrow to Edwards, Hilaire, Swift, and Taylor. I think that's how it's going to go down.
I was going to say the exact same thing, except I think Taylor will be ahead of Swift.
Yeah,
yeah,
they're so close.
I think by the time the draft's
going to be dependent on the landing spot. I mean, obviously nobody thought Edwards Hilaire would be I think Edwards Hilaire will be the number 1 running back in ADP.
I think so too.
And I don't think that's wrong either.
Oh man, I don't know. People didn't think it was wrong to take Rashad Penny 102 either, right? I mean, Edwards Hilaire literally
or Sony Michelle 102. Wow.
I mean, Edwards Hilaire literally had done nothing prior to last year. And then all of a sudden he's a product of the best offense in college football. I mean, so that they were 5 wide. Here's the one knock on Edwards Hilaire. His pass blocking is atrocious. And so here's what's going to happen is teams are going to and I wish I could give credit to who said this. What teams are going to do is they're going to force him to come in and block because he's a huge liability as a blocker. And so I just am a little bit nervous about investing that highly in a guy that could end up not really being on the field in third downs. He's an incredible liability as a blocker. It was never an issue at LSU because they had 5 wide receivers out in their patterns, and they were getting the ball out quickly when they needed to. And Burrow was really great under pressure. And Mahomes is great under pressure, but I mean, I don't think I'm going to, especially considering this injury Mahomes encountered this last year. Do you really think if your third down running back isn't really willing to or not able to really pass block? And, he's a tiny guy, man. So if you got a, 260 pound defensive end runner on the corner, or a 220 pound linebacker coming in and he's not good in pass protection. I mean, that's the one caveat. The first round draft capital is huge, and I think his touchdown equity is massive, but I don't know. He's definitely not a flawless prospect, and I think that's what it'll be very interesting to fast forward 24 months and see what Edwards Hilaire has done, but I think he's going to be valued very, very highly.
So do you think that Damian Williams is a bit of a buy then, Trey, with that perspective? Because obviously people are going to be like, oh, Williams he's worthless. He's going to lose his job to Edwards Hilaire. I mean, I don't know what you could get him for, but probably, pretty cheaply, I would think.
Yeah, he very well could be. I mean, he very well could be. I mean, I just don't – I know there's a lot of people that are a big, big fan of Edwards Hilaire, but, I think let's just be honest. He's not going to run the ball 260 times next year. That's not going to happen. That they're going to throw the ball a lot in that offense. So he's going to have to do a lot with few touches. I think the biggest advantage is that he plays in an incredible offense. But when you've got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Sammy Watkins and Mecole Hardman, so I don't know that he's a lock to catch 60 passes. So I don't know. I think I'm a little more reserved. I think it could end up being a really great thing. Could end up providing some value for a guy like Taylor or Swift, and their landing spots still to be determined. So a lot can still change.
All right, guys, we should probably wrap it up. Will, you have any thoughts on that topic? You think that there's a buying opportunity in Kansas City for Damian Williams, or?
I don't know. I actually think that Edwards Hilaire, with the way that Joe Burrow described him, and I haven't watched a lot of film about his pass blocking, but I think he's good. I don't know. He's good. They're going to give him an opportunity, and in that high-powered offense, he's the kind of player you want. And so I agree that he's going to have a learning curve, and without an offseason, you got to be a little bit careful, but risk reward here, the reward is worth it. It's fine. I mean, if he ends up being a Rashad Penny and he flakes out, I think that risk is worth it to take him where he is. His ceiling is pretty massive. Let's move on. So after AJ Dillon, the steal of the draft by Trey at the 209, Ryan, you went Michael Pittman.
I did. I think Michael Pittman is probably, if you look at the, I think the running back well is kind of dried up personally. I mean, I think there's some kind of somewhat intriguing guys, but I think Pittman's a guy that could be a really, decent wide receiver in the NFL. And here in the, what are we, mid to late second round, I just thought it was worth pulling the trigger on him. So, yeah, I think he'll be a pretty good pro wide receiver. So we'll see. I mean, at the 210, I like what I'm getting with Michael Pittman. Yeah,
and you also at the 205 you took Mims. You seem to be in love with 32-year-old college graduates. So no, I think it's a fine pick. And then Chase Claypool went with Tyler.
And I thought about him there. At the,
very polarizing. Well. I can't wrap my head around Claypool, and I have my bias against Notre Dame, so it's tough for me. I think it's a fine pick at this point in time. And so then I went, Benjamin. I know he's a little bit lower down the list, but Benjamin just reminds me a little bit of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So maybe he'll get boost up the draft boards for tomorrow, and this looks like a great pick. That's basically the only speculation I have about that.
All right. Well, we'll do this again tomorrow. Let me just see how the mock tomorrow looks compared to.
It'll be so much more well informed, but this was super fun. Man, it was actually a shockingly fun first round. I thought it was going to be pretty boring.
It was great. We needed this, man. We needed this, and it did not disappoint. So exciting. So exciting. You got your four quarterbacks in the first round, 3 in the top 6. You got 6 wide receivers. You got the running back that snuck in at the end going to the Kansas City Chiefs. It's very exciting. It was a fun first round. So any final thoughts? 2-minute warning, gentlemen. 2-minute warning. No, everyone's shaking their head. We're tired. We're going to get out of here with that. So we're going to stop the live YouTube feed, and then we'll wrap up the show. But thanks for listening to or joining us on the Drafterparty. We'll do it again tomorrow night, part 2. It will definitely be fun and exciting and interesting. So thanks for joining us on YouTube.